In the heart of the Roaring Twenties, when Prohibition ruled the day and the night belonged to bootleggers, one name became a recurring thorn in the side of law enforcement. Francis Aebersold, the teenage rum runner, who became a specter on the roads that the DC police could barely hope to catch. Lured by the thrill of the chase, the 19-year-old Aebersold became an infamous wheelman for DC's underground speakeasy circuit, his customized roadster packed with quarts of corn liquor for late-night smuggling. On one midnight rum run, Aebersold's flashy roadster was spotted near the 11th precinct. Detective Charles Berry mobilized his fellow officers, and a daring police chase ensued. Aebersold's roadster ripped through the streets of DC, defying the law and even death. When speed wasn't enough to evade his captors, bullets followed. Aebersold's passengers returned fire with the pursuing officers. A police blockade eventually cut off his escape, forcing the 19-year-old to abandon his vehicle and flee on foot. But a crack shot from Detective Berry finally put an end to the teenager's night of crime. The wounded rum runner was rushed to the hospital and his eventual criminal trial. But the tale of Francis Aebersold is just one of hundreds in the pantheon of legendary bootleggers who made their name on the winding roads of American history. Dive into the untold story of how the thirst for forbidden spirits fueled the high-octane world of performance cars, forever transforming the American road and the world. In 1919, the 18th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution banned the manufacture, sale, and transportation of alcohol. Political pressure, fueled by religious beliefs and concerns about the societal ills of saloon culture, culminated in national prohibition. However, America's thirst for libations was not easily quenched. When legal avenues closed, people turned to the underground to supply them with what they wanted. The act of concealing alcohol became so common that the practice of hiding a flask in the top of one's boot gave rise to the word bootleg as a general term for smuggling illegal liquor. Today, the word bootleg has grown so ubiquitous that it's broadly used to describe any illicit or unauthorized activity. As soon as the 18th Amendment was signed into law, bootleggers took advantage of the persistent demand by setting up clandestine operations to produce, import, transport, and distribute alcohol illegally. With liquor now a scarce commodity, bootleggers could charge exorbitant prices far beyond what legal sales would have garnered. The Appalachian Mountains became the heartland of the country's production and transportation of illicit booze known as moonshine to underground establishments across the country. And moving moonshine as quickly as possible became the name of the game. Rum runners needed cars fast enough to escape the law, but inconspicuous enough to avoid detection. Bootleggers modified their vehicles to outrun the police and revenue agents, creating the country's first high-performance motorcars. Popular choices included the Ford V8, Studebakers, and the Hudson Super 6, modified for extra power and handling. Whether swapping out engines or adding new intake manifolds, rum runners pushed their cars to the limits on back roads and highways, often driving at night with their headlights off to remain in stealth. Some cars were even disguised to blend in with traffic, repainting their bodies in dull colors, or even using family passengers to appear harmless. False compartments were also built into dashboards, trunks, and even upholstery. Rum runners established intricate networks of secret routes, avoiding main roads and checkpoints. Lookout systems with informants tipped bootleggers off to police patrols. Large operations involved gangs with defined roles, drivers, lookouts, mechanics, and even bribed officials, all working together to ensure smooth deliveries. Smugglers transporting liquor across borders could see significantly higher profits due to the larger volumes involved. A successful run could net thousands of dollars. Large-scale operations, often run by major players like Al Capone, could net millions. By the end of the decade, Prohibition had fueled the rise of organized crime, violence, and corruption. Public support dwindled as law enforcement's failure to curb alcohol consumption became tragically evident. With the Great Depression's onset, the potential tax revenue from legal alcohol became increasingly attractive. Presidential candidate Franklin D. Roosevelt pledged to repeal Prohibition, pushing for the passage of the 21st Amendment, which brought an end to the federal ban on alcohol. As the profitability of illicit bootlegging began to dwindle across the country, skilled drivers whose proficiency behind the wheel began while running Shine found a popular new profession. Former bootleggers, like the legendary Junior Johnson, began testing their cars and driving prowess against one another. These races were not just for bragging rights. They showcased the innovations made to the speed and power of the automobile, drawing crowds and sponsorship attention. This pivotal moment led to the formation of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, NASCAR, turning a once illegal activity into the billion-dollar industry that it is today. While many lessons were learned and vehicular innovations wrought, Prohibition remains a cautionary tale about the dangers of government overreach. Though roadblocks may rise, the human spirit consistently finds new pathways on the road to innovation and freedom.